Hello and welcome to the D365 Insights podcast brought to you by Source and Connect. D365 Insights is an industry specific podcast all around Microsoft Dynamics and the Power Platform. Today's episode is around effective business change in Dynamics F&O implementations, and we are welcoming guest speaker Ramon Orriols. Raymond has 15 years experience in consulting and has worked for some of the big names in Dynamics, such as Accenture, Deloitte, and HCL. Welcome, Raymond. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Um,
Pleasure to
Hi,
be here. Thanks, Sarah, and looking forward to this interesting conversation and sharing a little bit about what change is about in Dynamics F&O world.
brilliant. Thank you. I guess we'll jump straight into it, Raymond. If you can tell us a bit about your background and experience as a program director in Dynamics F&O.
Absolutely. So this is Ramon Orriols, been working probably for 15 years, and actually before starting to focus on D365 or particularly leading the whole program, I'm coming from a change background. So when I started to work, I started in consulting on the change management side, working across different technology-enabled implementations, and during the years moving from the change side to manage the whole program as program manager, program lead, program director, and also more focus on F&O implementations, which are increasing in the last years, having seen other technologies before, such as SAPs and other ERPs. So that's me in a nutshell. Change is important. We will touch in the next few minutes, and certainly, looking forward to share a little bit more about why this is important and how as clients, organizations should approach that as they look to implement Dynamics 7.0.
Brilliant. Thank you. So, what drew you to specialize in change management within ERP programs?
That's a good question. I think when I was actually, at unis completing my MBA, really looking forward to decide the future. I was not clear, but I was clear on one thing. I always like people. I always like, socializing with people, helping people to achieve their goals and expectations. And essentially, as I move into consulting, that was linked to change management. So when I started to work 15 years ago, change was being seen as a silo activity, a little bit of comms training before going live with a new system. Change has become more important because it's not just change and training and comms. It's a lot about managing leaders' expectations and the business during a program. But that's what drew me into change management, and that's what I love from this. And on my day to day with clients, it's really about people managing expectations and ensuring that they get what they expect from a new solution and new processes, and that makes their life easier.
Fantastic. So, for listeners who may be unfamiliar, how do you define change management in the context of Dynamics F&O implementations?
Let me try to make that probably a little bit easier because there are different theories, there are different change methodologies, ADKAR, PROSI, etc. But what change is about? So you can, as I used to say, you can build the best train ever. Call this train Dynamics F&O, and you have essentially the right builders, the right technical colleagues coming from a system integrator that are the experts and that they can configure, they can customize this train, they can migrate the data into this train for this train or new system to use. But change management, as we are doing that build of the train, is about how we manage the passengers' expectations and how we involve the passengers during this journey as we are building the train, so they understand how the new train looks like, what's in it for them, and actually how this new train is going to improve their daily life. Doing their daily journeys shorter, much more efficient, much more comfortable, etc. So change is about how we involve the passengers during the build of the train and how we ensure that the passengers are comfortable, happy with what's coming, understanding what's in it for them, and obviously they are fully support this and absorb the knowledge of how to jump into this train from day one.
That's great. I love the train analogy. I've never heard that before. It's a really good way of explaining it. So why is change management critical to the success of these programs?
So I've seen in my previous life, or during the last 15, 20 years, change has increased. The importance of change has increased for one key reason. Lots of D365 programs and also other ERP programs have failed, mostly or in 84% of the cases, according to a McKinsey study a few years ago, due to change. What this means is, we have typically organizations have engaged the right system integrator. They have built trains. The new trains that they believe they needed, but actually they failed on engaging the passengers into the journey. So this has been translated in delays in the program because when the passengers were lately engaged, they were realizing that this is not what they were expecting, not what they needed. This was, being translated in delays, extending testing phases, new requirements later in the program, not clarity, having to put more focus on energy on end user training, etc. So typical failure, was, how we engage with the passengers leadership, the leaders of our organizations, how we have their sponsorship, how they understand what's in it for them, and how they can release different business representatives from their areas to work with the change team of the program, with the program change team. That's what's key, to the success of these programs and how we can do that, which I would like to elaborate a little bit more in the next few minutes.
Okay. So what are the biggest risks of neglecting change management in ERP projects?
So as looking at different experiences, but also looking at the last 20 years, essentially I've seen clients not investing in change because they were assuming that building the train is what really matters, and that they will put the train on the rails and everything will go on. So first thing is not investing in change and essentially not realizing that change is not about end users, is about having the leaders on board, having the end users on board, having end users or representative of the end users working with us, with the change team during the program, and managing obviously how the 2B will look like and involving them in this design and build of the 2B. So key risk, or not having the leadership engage, is one key risk. Second risk that's linked to the first one is not having the right business representative working on the program and having been released from their business as usual activities. So not asking colleagues to join the program and do their daily job at the same time. That's key. Investing essentially in our own people on the program. And thirdly, not being able to translate what's in it for different groups of colleagues, or how the new reality with Dynamics F&O will look like for different groups of end users. And sometimes we are lost in complex or detailed activities, but what's important is to make it easier. So how we can explain in one pager, in a 1 minute video, to different groups of end users, from a finance controller, a procurement manager, a customer service representative, how their life will look like tomorrow with Dynamics F&O, what they are doing today across different systems, subsystems, spreadsheets, how they will do that tomorrow in Dynamics F&O, and how this, will make their life easier.
Right, right. I hope that there are businesses that are listening to this that can take those away with them. So how do you engage? Sorry, how do you ensure leadership is fully engaged in the change management process?
That's a good question, and something really to put attention at the beginning of the program. As I used to say, as humans, if you don't understand what's in it for you, you're not going to invest time and or money in anything, of course.
Mm,
So we need to starting with the leaders. When we start the program, it's important to, typically Dynamics F&O transforms the whole organization, from commercial, customer service, core finance, supply chain management, procurement, including warehousing, manufacturing, and other models if they are implemented. So what's important is to have the leaders on board. They need to understand what the program will bring. In some cases, we need to work with them to define this program vision, understand what will be the case for change. If the vision is the flyer, the case for change is the book where we explain the benefits across different business areas. And these are two key activities that we do as part of a leadership engagement series, to have the leaders on board and to define the program altogether, because it should not be the program director program or the SI program. It's the business program, and they need to feel that is their baby, and it is their train, not the train that is being brought into the organization. So that's engaging the leadership early, through these activities. It's key to co-design the program together, and for them to understand what's in it for them. If we have the leaders engaged, they understand what's in it for their business areas, how Dynamics F&O will make their life easier. They will sponsor and they will bring people into the program. They will backfill these people on the day-to-day job. So these people, are full-time or most of their time working with us in the program. And that's the way that, this is going to be successful, because the change team, they should have the right professionals with the right experience, methodologies, templates, but the change team will not be successful if the business representative are not, working on part of the change team. So having the leadership engaged at the beginning is key to have their sponsorship, to ensure that the program is a top priority on their business areas, which will high likely be. And secondly, to ensure that they release the right people from their business as usual roles into the program, and we have the business into the program working with us.
Perfect. Thank you. So what are the most common sources of resistance that you've encountered during D365 projects?
That's a good question. I was mentioning before that change is always, or business buy-in, top one of the failures of Dynamics F&O projects, as well as other technical reasons such as data, interfaces, scope management, etc. But if we focus on the people side of things and the people resistance, typically what we'll hear is, I don't understand, number one, I don't understand the new system, the new processes, and actually what's in it for me, which is key. Secondly, the system and new processes is not exactly as my old system and processes, so that changes, and there are not a lot of efficiencies, or I don't understand, what's in it for me. So these probably are typical if you ask in an organization that are going through a F&O program, they are in the middle, or they have, just gone live or approaching go live, probably what you will hear from the business leaders and the users, which tells us that there are, what's key or what needs to be done, or there is room for improvement, is understanding, first of all, the benefits, understanding what what the new F&O across different areas will bring for different groups of end users. So how the live for Sarah or Ramon will be tomorrow between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. if you are using Dynamics F&O versus your current system and processes. And secondly, understanding what's in it for you. What are these efficiencies, time efficiencies, if you are doing daily commuting with the train, that you are going to get thanks to Dynamics F&O.
Perfect. So what are some practical strategies or frameworks you use to manage change effectively?
So what's important for us is, I've seen different frameworks during my career, from my Accenture days to other consulting firms, also including Deloitte in the last years. I've been also diving in ACAR, PROSI, and then also trying to translate during the last years of my career, what does it mean, the change best practice, into Dynamics F&O. So specifically, what I would describe is change need to be managed across, these different groups of end users. So how you are going to manage change for an organization that is implementing Dynamics F&O across different countries. So how you manage change for the UK finance controller team, or how you manage change for the France finance controller team, maybe slightly different. So we need to ensure that, different geographies and business areas or groups of end users, we have a clear change plan, but the change plan should include the following activities. So one is strategic change. I was talking about the leadership engagement, defining the vision, the case for change, doing a good stakeholder analysis, and understanding these groups of end users. So that's what I would include in a strategic change. And tactical change for each group of end users. We need to understand what will be the key changes for them through the change impact assessment and action plans, and how we are going to mitigate them through the action plans. Secondly, what will be the relevant communications for each group of end users? So are we going to, use different forums that they have in their business as usual activities? Are we going to do email communication, videos, etc.? Training, what will be the training journey for different groups of end users? It may be quite light and online for some groups of end users. It may be more heavy and classroom training focus for other groups of end users, warehouse, manufacturing, etc. Business readiness, that's the fourth block of the change framework, or how we are going to measure how ready these groups of end users are before go live, how comfortable and ready they are across using the new solution and processes. And then the fifth block and last one is post-go live adoption. So how we are measuring how they are using the system, or since they start to use the Dynamics F&O, how they are doing that, and if they are getting the efficiencies that they were expecting. The important part on adoption is that we can anticipate that and not just measure since we start to use the system. So as we start to test the system during the program, different testing phases, we can start to measure, in that case, how end users use the system.
Great. So, what role does user training play in change management, and how do you measure its success?
I think that's a really interesting question because when I was looking back at when I was starting to work, so change was all about training and a little bit of comms a few months pre-go live. So certainly it was training was key. While today training, we should be able actually to minimize training as much as possible if we have done a good work during the program of handing over the knowledge of the new solution and processes since we start to design and build the new solution. And then, being a user training only a mere formality to confirm and to ensure that we do an end-to-end review before going live. So don't get me wrong, training is certainly important. It's the way how we formally hand over the knowledge to the business end users, how we explain the end-to-end solution, reinforce the end-to-end solution, providing all the support materials beyond training courses and user guides, videos, and any other materials that they will have on the day-to-day post go live. To the question of how do we measure that, typically we have done, looking at the business colleagues, business representative, and all the end users through surveys, interviews, understanding, what were the gaps, what they were understanding, what was failing. But, how we can better do that beyond these surveys, interviews is actually using the testing phases of the program to ensure that they understand the to be, they can test the system, they know the new processes, and also using this information as they start to play with the system to let us understand what areas do we need to reinforce, what areas are not clear, and what we need to do from a training perspective and knowledge transfer to reinforce these areas. So in summary, metrics, and on how they are using the system as we are in the program, not yet live, are key to tell us, beyond surveys and opinions, what's not working, and essentially where we need to put more information, more focus, and therefore information.
Perfect. And so, what are your top three best practices for ensuring a successful change management journey?
First one, it was well, I think already mentioned, but invest in change, engage the leaders early, so no questions on that. What's important, or second one is define this to be early enough. So as we understand what are the different groups of end users impacted across different business areas, define how their life will look like tomorrow with Dynamics F&O before starting the program, and what would be the key benefits. That's important as humans, we need to understand what's in it for us. Otherwise, we are not going to invest time and money in something, in this case, into the program. So think about that and be able to articulate, what will be the narrative, how you can show to a finance controller, a warehouse manager, a commercial director, how their life will be tomorrow with Dynamics F&O. And thirdly, you are working with a system integrator. They have the knowledge of this to be trained that they are configuring. Of course, the change team are working together with the system integrator to understand exactly how the train will look like as we are designing and building the train. But the change team also should look at maximize these opportunities, essentially to hand over knowledge during the program. So that's key. As I was mentioning, we call that agile in today's world, but agile is just a methodology. Describe different roles, responsibilities, how to deliver a design and a build phase in an agile way. But the key point is how you practically make that happen in the organization, with your change team, business representative, working together with the system integrator teams.
Right. Okay. So we're coming towards the end now. So just one more question for you. If you could give one piece of advice to organizations embarking on a D365 F&O journey, what would it be?
Absolutely. So looking at probably some CIOs, CFOs, and senior leaders that are listening to us, My first thing is invest in change, think in change strategically as you are thinking and trying to engage with your system integrator, planning to build this train. That's important. Think about, your different business areas, geographies, and how you are going to keep them engaged and work, with them through the program. You will certainly not be able to do that. You will not have the time, the capacity. That's why you need a change team, a strong change team to that with the right senior people, change experts who can actually help you manage these expectations, bring the right framework activities to deliver, and then with the business representative, working together to deliver these activities. So thinking that way, how you are going to that, dear CIO, CFO, senior leader, do you have the skills? Do you have the capacity? Or actually you need to invest and bring, invest on the change side as well as you are investing on the train. Secondly, and lastly, what I would add, this is not about technology. It's that's about technology and people expectations. And certainly, if you ask me, what's more important is about having the right train with all the finished details, the right seats, the right ladder on the seats, the right materials, or actually these details are not as important as having all the passengers groups fully engaged and ready to jump on this train. Certainly, my view is on the passengers and having a train that works or and that adds value to the organization versus the previous trains, systems, and processes. It's certainly key, but having all the passengers ready to jump into that, it's even more key.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We've come to the end of the questioning, but I just wanted to say, yeah, thank you. I've really enjoyed that. From a recruitment perspective, we look at keywords. We understand, business change when we're looking at people's CVs and job roles. But it's really good to get more of a deep understanding of what it means and what it means to businesses. And I really appreciate the analogy with train. It's really helped me along the whole way to understand how it affects businesses. So we've come to the end. Thank you so much for joining us. To our listeners, stay tuned for the next episode. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. We're Spotify and also on YouTube. And I will get this out on LinkedIn as well. So if you're not following us, add Source and Connect on LinkedIn. And thank you, Raymond, again. And take care.
Thanks, Sarah. Pleasure to be with you today. And absolutely, let's keep trains moving, but more importantly, focus on passengers.
Absolutely. Thank you.